Fashion Souls, taken to the extreme. Wuchang Fallen Feathers is a beautifully menacing game with a lot of depth to consider with its pile of spells and 5 core weapon classes. Each alter your playstyle quite a bit and have their own pros and cons. There's the axe, dual blades, one-handed sword, spear, and longsword. The longsword has a quick and simple katana-like moveset, keeping your dodge nice and responsive since you're not often stuck in lengthy attack animations with this one. Good place to start when you're just finding the rhythm of the game. At higher character levels though, I personally found some of the other weapons to possibly outclass it eventually, but that's the late game to worry about. Longsword users are going to want to primarily focus on strength and agility, along with bonus attributes gained from its skill tree that also pump endurance, vitality, and feathering. What the heck is feathering? I got you. Feathering is one of the 2 spell types in the game. The longsword has an easy sequence for building Skyborn Might, this meter, which I'm going to refer to as just energy from here on out since it's used to power your spells and active abilities. With the Sword Saint skill unlocked, this makes the second hit of your light attack combo immediately build 1 charge of energy. So a memorable way to introduce yourself is sprinting in with light attack, and using that energy charge you just gained to chain straight into a spell active ability or swift draw. The swift draw mechanic swaps out to your alternate weapon while triggering its main active ability, and you can equip 2 of the same weapon type if you just want to keep your moveset the same after you do this. A longsword's default ability is Blink Kick, which can knock back or build up Poise Break. Then you can chain into a sequence of light attacks out of that. But one of my personal favorite abilities to replace that is either the Sword Counter or the Crescent Arc ability. The Sword Counter gives the longsword the ability to block, kinda like changing the game to play more like Sekiro. If you time a block right as an incoming attack lands, you can parry it and strike back with a strong counter. This doesn't work quite as well or at all though against blunt damage. The Crescent Arc ability can be used like an instant backwards evade, which can then chain into a powerful spinning follow-up attack. A dual purpose ability that gives you an emergency evade and strong attack all in one. I also suggest keeping a lookout for the Lashing Whip longsword that can be found in the first half of the game, which is kind of like a living, segmented blade whip thing. Certain attacks during the light and heavy strings will extend the individual segments of the whip, giving the longsword superior reach. That's 1 of 5 weapons down, but let's gaze upon the sponsor of today's video for just a moment, Factor. The meals from Factor are shipped right to your door and eliminate a lot of the stresses of sustaining your existence via eating. Factor's meals are fresh, never frozen, and not only taste way better than if I try to prepare something myself, they also cut down on a ton of time I would have spent cooking and then cleaning up the dirty dishes afterwards. Pro tip, eat with just your hands, then you'd have 0 dirty dishes. Factor's meals go straight from the fridge, heat up in about 2 minutes, and then are heading straight into your mouth. Simple. Factor has over 35 different meals to pick from each week, or you can just have it auto-select from categories like keto, calorie smart, vegan, veggie, and a few others. So head to factor75.com or click the link below and use code 50BoomstickGaming to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first Factor box. That's code 50BoomstickGaming at factor75.com to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. Okay, next up is the Spear, which is going to give you the longest reach out of the 5 weapon types, with abilities focused on multi-hit attacks and evasive counters. The main stats of a Spear user will be agility and strength, with endurance and vitality gained through leveling its skill tree. The downside, the Spear's skill tree doesn't give any attributes towards magic or feathering, so if you want to supplement your build with spells, you'll have to use up points in another skill tree. However, the Spear gets the upgrades Bold Heart and Emboldering Spear, which provide a unique stacking buff gained from attacking that can then be turned directly into multiple charges of energy by hitting with an active ability. This makes the Spear somewhat slow to start accumulation of energy, but easy to earn it back continuously with repeat use of abilities. With the node Penetrating Point, the final hit of the light attack combo is another way to gain a charge of energy, but a shortcut trick to get to this strike is just to do a heavy attack followed by a light attack. This skips multiple light attack animations to get right to that final swing that accumulates energy. This sequence is even better with the steam-powered spear, which has a retracting chain that extends the reach of some of your spear attacks, like that heavy attack. The steam-powered spear is a personal favorite of mine because its extended attack reach and crowd control potential of its spinning chains. Bonus, it also looks cool. There's also the kinda ridiculous gunpowder spear you can find if you really want some extra range. Its active ability lets you fire a rapid sequence of bullets, and honestly I was not expecting the game to crank up to this level, but I'm glad it did. The default ability that spears start with is the Aerial Bulwark, which can be tapped or held to prime a backwards evade counterattack if timed correctly. I prefer the quick activation of the Spear Veil ability though, which is similar in concept but is better used reactionary to absorb and retaliate against incoming hits. Also, the Solar Leap ability is a useful rushdown tool since it quickly jumps you right over to the target. This sequence is a great combo starter that reduces the time the enemy has to start an active hitbox swinging at your head. Next is the One-Handed Sword comment section, which is one of the faster weapon types that is going to be best suited for building out a spellcaster, with a downside of the sword attacks having pretty short reach. The main stats of a one-handed sword user will be either magic and or agility, depending on the scaling of your equipment, with feathering also acquired from its skill tree. These one-handed swords have a unique property on them called spell power, which is factored in to increase the potency of spells. That's why this weapon is best for spell builds. If you really want to make a dedicated caster build, heading down the left branch of the skill tree has multiple nodes where you can pump even more into magic, or below that, the feathering stat, depending on which type of spells you use the most often. The deeper into the game you get, the more powerful a spell-focused build is going to become, as you accumulate more spells with higher energy cost but also higher damage output. The Binding Time unlock lets you build the energy for spells and abilities passively as you just walk around with the one-handed sword equipped. Pretty nice bonus. The Ascending Wrath can also net you some extra energy by landing the final hit of the light attack combo. There is a shortcut to this last strike though by doing either a sprint into light attack, a dodge into light attack, or backstep into light attack. The default active ability of the sword is Flickering Blade, which rapidly waves the blade back and forth to somewhat mitigate incoming damage. This can also deal light multi-hit damage itself if you get real close. I like to swap that out with the Slicing Zephyr ability and its associated upgrade that lets you fling out a mini tornado to follow up after the initial spin attack. Neat. The Dual Blades are next, which are a quick multi-hit weapon type that greatly benefits from the effect called Clash, which I'll explain in a sec. The main stats of the Dual Blade will be agility and strength, with endurance and vitality also acquired from its skill tree. Its attacks have kinda short reach, and its skill tree doesn't give any stats for spellcasters. Now, every weapon type has certain attacks that can gain the Clash effect, but the Dual Blades get the most use of this Clash mechanic. What's Clash mean? Clash means certain attack animations will be able to deflect and hit straight through some incoming attacks. The Dual Blades can get kinda crazy in the late game with this Clash effect, letting you essentially mash right through some enemies' outgoing swings. For this, you'll need the Leaf Slasher unlock, adding the Clash effect to the 4th, 5th, and 6th strike of the light attack combo, Deadly Shadow, which adds Clash to your dash attack, and Feather Chaser, giving a charge of energy for each time you trigger a Clash. I like to pair this with the Blade Master ability, which gives you a temporary attack speed buff and gives health back on hit when you land a Clash. Faster attack speed means more likely to clash, and health back for doing it is as good of a synergy as it sounds. However, the default ability that the Dual Blades start with is Sudden Strike. This is a spinning combo attack that can get an unlock in the skill tree that gives it the ability to also clash. Another way to accumulate energy for the Dual Blades is by getting the Mighty Combination skill that makes the 6th hit of the light attack combo provide energy. A shortcut to this final hit can be done by doing a dodge, light attack, or backstep, light attack. The Dual Blades can also block if you find weapons like the Twin Bandits, since these come with block as its core ability. This lets you deflect incoming damage manually without purely relying on the Clash effect. And finally is the Axe, which is the slowest swinging of the 5, but it highly rewards skilled spacing and precise timing of your inputs with some incredibly strong damage spikes. The primary stat of an axe user will be strength, with additional stats gained for vitality and endurance in its skill tree. If you want to have powerful spells to use, this is not the weapon to do it with, but you can at least charge energy for spells and abilities fairly easily with the axe. The axe has a somewhat simple moveset, but is one of the harder ones to master, since you need to carefully place your swings and use the strike and cleave unlock to get the most out of your attack speed. With that, timing inputs right as each swing ends will yield faster attack speed compared to if you're just mashing light attack. Some axe types come with the ability to be used kind of like a flamethrower, like this variant, which does the effect with noxious gas fumes. However, the default ability that axes start with is block. This is a somewhat slower, more damage mitigating style block that you hold out and wait, compared to some of the other weapons that use it more like a parry. I like to replace that with the Earthshaker ability though. This slams into the ground and can be followed up into the final third and fourth hit of the light attack combo. That synergizes very well with Chop and Weave, which adds the clash effect to the third hit of the light attack combo, which protects it from interruption. And the Thunderous Cleave, which makes the hit after that yield 3 charges of energy all at once. This makes for an almost infinite string of using Earthshaker into the combo finisher, which charges enough energy to do it all over again. So those are the 5 core weapon types in Wuchang Fallen Feathers, and let me know down below which is your personal playstyle, which one fits your playstyle best. The weapon I actually liked the least at the start ended up being one of my mains in the late game, so luckily it's completely free to reset your skill tree distribution. Okay, let's wrap this up. I want to give a big thanks to Factor for sponsoring the video today, and thanks to you for watching all the way here to the end. As always, I'm Alex, and I'll see you soon in the next one. So in the last 2 years, we've had Wuchang Fallen Feathers, Wulong Fallen Dynasty, and Black Myth Wukong. I'm starting to get confused!